card holder, whatever it may be. And also, one simple thing you can do is share, Jan, is that if you're on my newsletter or if you sign on to my newsletter, we are working on printable PDFs that we're going to soon email out to our whole newsletter list so that you can print it out. You can tape it up in storefronts. You can drop palm cards in small businesses. If you are local to New York City, we are going to be having kind of volunteer events where we're going to go bodega by bodega, drop in palm cards so that people can know their rights. And the slower they go, the less they can break, okay? That's one example. Number two, in some of these federal purges, with what they're trying to do, they want to send you a little letter saying, oh, we're going to offer you a buyout. Don't take it. Don't take it. Don't take the buyout. You have about 3 days, like all those federal workers that got that got those notices. And of course, these decisions are personal. The decisions are ultimately up to you. But my opinion is that this is a bunch of BS. And what they want everyone to do is to comply in advance. Do not comply in advance. Make them make you. Make them make you. And make them, if they're committing crimes, make them make you. Because we are going to win. I want you to understand right now, we're going to go through an ugly, ugly period. But move in the faith that we are going to win. Okay? Nobody knows what is going to happen between now and then, but winning and prevailing is a decision. It is a choice. It's not, oh, what's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. It's, what am I going to dedicate myself to? And so it can be actions small, it can be actions large. I'm giving you a small action, a tiny action. If you are exhausted and you don't have any energy at all, the one thing I want you to do is to look up your rights, for you to know your rights in case ICE shows up to your workplace. Just Google it, understand it, practice it, go on Rep AOC. If you have no energy at all, just do that. Just Google your rights. If you've got some energy, if you're itching to mobilize and you're in a community like mine, pick up some palm cards or print out some stuff on your own and take it to a local bodega and say, hey, can I post this up? Okay? That's level 2, right? There are actions you could take at every level. If you want to do even more, there are community organizations that you can engage in. We need to be little grains of sand in the large gears of this machine. And so please do not fall for the illusion or the lie that any action is too small. There is no action too small. In fact, because there are so many of us, when millions of people do tiny things, we can disrupt these systems, okay? So those are 2 key things. Now, let's level up. Let's zoom out a little bit in terms of what else we can do. Well, Donald Trump did something very interesting. In order for us to understand the political landscape, Republicans didn't just win the White House, as we know. Republicans also won majorities in the Senate and majorities in the House. And what is happening right now is that Republicans are rolling over. People are saying, where's Congress? Where's Congress? Congress, I'll get to Democrats in another section here. But Congress itself, the reason Congress as an institution is not doing anything is because Republicans hold the keys to both the House and the Senate. So if the House is going to do something, you need the Republican speaker to make the choice to do it. The Senate, if the Senate is going to do something, the Senate has a Republican majority that holds the keys to that as well. So there are 2 strategies that we have in terms of the Senate and in terms of the House. I'm going to start with the House. The House has 435 members, but the Republicans won the majority, but that majority is very, very slim right now. I think it's about 4. I believe it's a majority of about 4. Even with 4 Republicans making the difference between a Democratic House and a Republican majority House, Donald Trump still decided to appoint several of them to his administration, which has dramatically reduced temporarily the Republican voting majority in the House. Those people that he appointed are tried to appoint Matt Gaetz, but Matt Gaetz resigned when he was named, when Donald Trump was going to appoint him, and then the Senate blocked it. But still, there's a vacancy in Matt Gaetz' seat. There's a vacancy in Representative Waltz's seat. And there's a vacancy here in New York with Elise Stefanik's seat. 2 of those seats, Waltz and Gaetz, are in the state of Florida. And they are strolling their way to a special election. Now, that special election, I believe, is happening on April 1st in the state of Florida. We need to have a show of elevated numbers. We should have a show of elevated numbers in those 2 special elections. Now, people are going to say, oh, she's sending you on a wild goose chase. These are strongly Republican districts, but Washington and decision makers often look at the margins of these results to try to glean how people are feeling in this time. And first and foremost, the level of breakneck speed and not just speed, the level of just breaking that this administration and that Elon Musk is doing right now does have the power to transcend party. It does have the power to transcend party. And if a historically 30 plus Republican seat, if a seat that normally goes to Republicans by 20 points or 30 points, then goes to Republican, even if they still win, but if it goes down to 10 points, they know that they are in deep trouble. And why does that matter? Because a lot of these people only respond to one thing, which is whether they can hold on to power or not. And one of the reasons we're in this situation is because a lot of Republicans were more afraid of a primary election, losing a primary election, than they were in actually advocating for their people. And if you want evidence for that, just know that these Medicaid cuts that they're going for are actually going to affect rural Americans some of the most. Some of the places that vote the reddest stand to be hurt the most by what Republicans are trying to do. And so understand, we're talking about rural hospital closures, we're talking about all sorts of infrastructure, any of the basic services that a lot of rural communities who are already underserved, all these communities that are already underserved. So I'm not saying that getting in the game with these is going 100% to change the outcome. But it may, because we are in an unprecedented time. An unprecedented time can mean, of course, many bad things happen, but it can also mean that unpredictable things can happen, and unpredictable things can often go our way. I was elected in the first Trump administration, and nobody ever thought that I had a prayer in order to win. I was a waitress. I was challenging the head of a political machine who was supposed to be the next Speaker of the House. They spent $3 million against me while I was wiping down tables. And we won. Why? Because an unpredictable window has opened. Do not comply in advance. You try anyway. We try, and they want to flood the zone, we can flood the zone with people. So those April 1st special elections, you can take a look at those. But importantly, in New York, Elise Stefanik's seat is open. And, those Florida seats, we can start mobilizing there. We'll start exercising our organizing muscle there. But we're doing that in order to build the larger infrastructure and power that we need. Elise Stefanik's seat is going to be open, and there's going to be more time. That special election is not happening on April 1st. And so what that means is that New Yorkers, we can focus on the special election for Elise Stefanik's seat, and we can go for it, okay? We can go for it. We need